the map that held a secret. It began, as many great historical discoveries do, with something small. In 2012, a curious researcher at the British Museum was carefully analyzing a 16th century watercolor map titled La Virginia Pars, crafted by the English artist John White. The map, delicate and sun-faded, had long been an object of scholarly interest. But that day, something peculiar caught the researcher's eye, an anomaly beneath a patch of paper, barely visible unless you knew precisely where to look. Using backlighting, an old technique for detecting underdrawings and erasures, they saw it, the faint but unmistakable outline of a square-shaped fort, carefully etched beneath the surface. Hidden beneath a patch near the confluence of the Roanoke and Chowan rivers, the symbol was drawn in invisible ink, or possibly an iron gall composition that had faded over centuries. What made this discovery so extraordinary wasn't just the clandestine nature of the marking, it was its location, exactly 50 miles west of Roanoke Island. That distance was not random. It corresponded with a cryptic note in John White's own journals, written before he returned to England in 1587. In it, White recorded that the Roanoke colonists, who would later vanish without a trace, had intended to move 50 miles into the Maine. That phrase, long dismissed or overshadowed by the mystery of the word Croatoan, carved into a tree, suddenly gained new weight. Why had White hidden this fort? Theories swirled among historians. Some believed he intended to protect the colony's location from Spanish spies, who were actively scouring the Americas to undermine English settlements. Others wondered if White himself never returned because he feared what he might find: failure, disease, or something worse. The map, a seemingly benign artifact, had become a cipher for the mystery of America's first lost colony. The discovery electrified the archaeological world. Soon after, the North Carolina-based First Colony Foundation, a group dedicated to solving the mystery of Roanoke, decided to act. Under the direction of renowned archaeologist Nick Laquette, they began an investigation into this new location, an area along the Albemarle Sound in Bertie County, North Carolina. This promising site was soon given an ominous and hopeful new name: Site X. Site X and the Ghosts of Bertie. The dig at Site X began with great anticipation, but not without skepticism. The terrain, thick with pine forest and tangled underbrush, bore little resemblance to the traditional image of an English fort. And as the excavation expanded, the team found no palisade walls, no trenches, no barracks, nothing that screamed fort. But then, something. Just beyond the boundaries of an abandoned Native American village known as Medicam, the soil began to yield secrets. Unearthed beneath centuries of sediment were fragments of English pottery, distinctly dated to the late 1500s. These weren't ceremonial or trade items, they were utilitarian. Bowls, storage jars, and cooking pots, many glazed in the characteristic greenish tint of Surrey, Hampshire wares from Elizabethan England. And one detail stood out more than any other: there were no clay pipes. This absence spoke volumes. The settlers of Jamestown, founded in 1607, were famously fond of clay tobacco pipes, which often littered their refuse pits. The Roanoke colonists, however, predated that trend. Their lack here wasn't an oversight, it was a time stamp. This discovery marked something radical. The pottery didn't just suggest English presence, it hinted at habitation. These weren't casual visitors or lost stragglers. Someone had lived here, cooked here, stored food, and settled, at least for a while. As interest in the region grew, the team deployed ground-penetrating radar to survey the surrounding area. That's when a second promising location came to light, just 2 miles away, a place they would later call Site Y. Again, the soil offered a quiet, powerful testimony. This time, the artifacts were broader in scope, fragments of European ceramics from different regions, suggesting a mixing of cultural origins. This introduced a new possibility, one that had rarely been considered in such detail before. A scenario began to take shape in the minds of researchers. It was not a tale of a single lost colony,